I did not want to read this book. I do not want to read this book, but alas, apparently you like to see me suffer. You like to see me in misery because you have voted and responded overwhelmingly in the positive, saying that you want me to read this book. And so we will. And whether I enjoy it or not will be determined, but we are going to be taking a look at the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, particularly the third section, Thoth's Lost Key of Wisdom. Now, for those of you who might be new, who haven't seen the other videos, why do I not want to read this book? The reason why I don't want to read this book is because of the enormous power contained within it. It's just too much to handle. I can't bear the enlightenment overload from these ancient words of wisdom from Thoth the Atlantean. No, it's because it's a bunch of BS. It's because it was made up by a guy named Maurice Doreal. So this guy who's named Maurice Doreal, who was actually born, I think, as Claude Doggins, something like that. But then later on, he went by Maurice Doreal. And in 1925, he claims to have found somehow these 36,000-year-old tablets. 36,000 years old, by the way. That's a very long time. He claimed to have found these 36,000-year-old tablets that were in an emerald green color, formed from material that was indestructible and defied the laws of physics, and engraved in ancient secret Atlantean language that could communicate to his mind. The tablets communicated to his mind. And he said that he found these tablets somehow because he was in contact with the Great White Brotherhood, which is a spiritual group of ascended masters from another dimension. They told him to go find them. And so he says he did. And he says he returned them to the Great Pyramid and gave them back. But before he gave them back, he was allowed to translate them. He was allowed to write down their knowledge. He was allowed to write down their information. But alas, he couldn't keep them. He had to give them back. And so there's zero evidence for any of this. No evidence at all that any of this happened. He doesn't even provide any details about how he found them or where he found them or how he gave them back or anything. He just says, oh, I found them and I gave them back. It's literally like 2 sentences. No evidence for this. And in addition to this, he is not a very well reputable individual, we might say, because if we take a look at Maurice Doreal here, he engaged in a lot of chicanery, a lot of falsehoods. He basically, where do you even begin with this guy? So he claimed to have traveled all over the world. And you guys have heard me say this before, so I'll make it quick. But just for new people coming in, I want you to understand what it is that we're taking a look at here. All right. So this guy named Doreal, he claimed that he traveled all over the world to train in secret knowledge, like Darjeeling in India and to a secret underground kingdom in Tibet. Well, the problem is that his passport said that he didn't go to any of these places. But when they confronted him about this, he was like, oh, well, it was in my mind. These were astral travels. Well, that's real convenient to be saying that after the fact. He claimed that he was born with complete memory of all his past lives and incarnations. He claimed that he was an anointed chosen one of the Great White Lodge. And again, that's that secret domain of ascended masters. He started his own religious group called the Brotherhood of the White Temple. He talked about the coming of an avatar chosen by the ascended masters that would bring in a new golden age of enlightenment. Of course, that never happened. He claimed to have met 2 Atlanteans in Los Angeles who took him to a cave under a mountain and told him about secret underground races. He talked about, and this is a lot, I know it's a lot, but he talked about an alien serpent race that piloted flying saucers and that they would ally with the Antichrist, and that these serpent people were frozen in Siberia, but then they became defrosted and overthrew the communist regime in Russia. And even his wife, claimed that he was a fraud. His wife denounced that he was a fraud in front of all his disciples. So you can see that not only is there absolutely zero evidence for the existence of these tablets, but it's coming from a source that is highly suspect, to say the least. Very, very suspect, to say the least. And so not only this, but it's a very common tactic for those involved in secret societies to start religions like this. And a very clear example that I always give is Joseph Smith and Mormonism. This story is very, very similar to the story of Joseph Smith and Mormonism. Joseph Smith had the angel Moroni come to him and told him where to find these secret golden plates that were engraved with Egyptian characters. And so Joseph Smith found these secret golden plates with Egyptian characters, and he translated them, and that became the Book of Mormon. But of course, he had to give the plates back to the angel, of course. So you see, sound familiar? And Joseph Smith was very familiar with Freemasonry. He became a Freemason later in life, and Mormonism is filled with Masonic symbolism like the all-seeing eye and the pentagram and the honeycomb and the bee and all sorts of Masonic influences. And I highly suspect, I don't know if Doriel was a Freemason, but I highly suspect, based on some of the wording of this information, that he was most likely involved or had knowledge of Freemasonry. I would say it's almost a certainty that he at least had good knowledge of Freemasonry. So the reason why that I have a problem with all this is because it's going around in the New Age and spiritual community, and it's being taken as true. Like, people are believing that this stuff is true. So there's nothing wrong with taking a look at this and saying like, oh, okay, can we learn from this information? That's fine. But it should be looked at and understood for what it is, as, hey, this is something that Doriel wrote. This is coming from Maurice Doriel. It's not, and that's the problem, is if people believe it's coming from a immortal Atlantean demigod from 36,000 years ago, well, you're just going to believe everything it says. Well, most people will. Most people do that. They take it on if God said something, it must be true. Or if an Atlantean demigod immortal said something, well, then it must be true, rather than, Maurice said it. It doesn't mean Maurice may not be a smart person. Maybe he was. But we want to examine everything with logic and reason. We want to see what it has to. And I'm not a super huge, I don't think Maurice was a smart person. Let me just say that. I think that he was a very manipulative person. And I'm not a fan, to say the least. I don't like, this was basically a religion that failed. It never caught on. He tried to start a religion. He wrote this as being like his religious text, but it never caught on. But anyway, there's a lot of people in the spiritual community sharing this around, and we've been reading it. We've been exploring it. And one of the reasons why this makes me, I'm a little, you could say, triggered, is because, for those who don't know, I grew up in a strict religious Christian household. And so I have RTS, or religious trauma syndrome. And I don't like when I see people trying to start religions and, doing just straight up lying to people, basically. If you have a certain philosophy or something, that's awesome. There are brilliant philosophers out there. But when you are straight up, saying like, oh, hey, this came from a 36,000-year-old Atlantean immortal who had a staff that could shoot out a ray gun and freeze people in place, like, now you're getting into some really wild territory here. So this isn't just that, this individual was trying to start a religion. It was that he was trying to start a religion in a very deceptive and immoral way, is my opinion. So let's read this, though. Let's see what it has to say. Can we learn from this? Can we understand it? What's going on here in these emerald tablets? And that's what we've been doing. We've been taking a look at these different emerald tablets, or the translations, and you can judge for yourself. Judge for yourself if you think that they are real or not. Don't just take my word for it. Do your own research, etc. But use logic and reason. So we're going to start. We're going to take a look, see what this says. This is the third section, called The Lost Keys of Wisdom, or the Lost Key, Thoth's Lost Key of Wisdom. That's what we're taking a look at here. Oh, and before we begin, as always, please make sure you like and subscribe. My channel is about spreading knowledge, spreading wisdom, spreading information, so that people can have access to information that helps them grow and achieve higher states of consciousness, and so we can build a better world, right? That's what it's all about. So hit like, subscribe, and it helps the algorithm spread this around, helps out a lot. And if you enjoy my work and you want to see my channel grow and help me create bigger videos, consider supporting over on Patreon, patreon.com/MorgueOfficial. You'll get access to all of our members only videos, and there's a new one every single week, and I appreciate it very much. You can also support on YouTube by hitting the join button right below this video. Be aware that there are scammers in the comments. There are people pretending to be me, saying to join my WhatsApp and join my Telegram. I don't have a WhatsApp. I don't have a Telegram, so that's not me. Don't fall for it. There are also a lot of people and groups out there who don't like what I'm doing and don't like what we're doing, and so are spreading a lot of disinformation and misinformation about me and our group and what we do. So as always, just, use logic and reason, use your head, don't fall for the BS. All right, let's begin. Let's take a look at this and see what exactly this says. So like I said, we're going to dive right into this. This is the third section, known as the lost key of wisdom. So, is this really wise? You be the judge. You tell me. You let me know what you think. Let's see. So, I, Thoth the Atlantean, give of my wisdom, give of my knowledge, give of my power. Freely I give to the children of men. Give that they too might have wisdom to shine through the world from the veil of the night. Well, that's really nice. So Thoth is just saying like, hey, I'm going to be sharing this info with you, sharing my knowledge, sharing my power, so that you can have wisdom to shine through the world as well. Nothing wrong with that. That's fine. That's cool. That's all good. Continues by saying, wisdom is power, and power is wisdom. One with each other, perfecting the whole. Be thou not proud, O man, in thy wisdom. Discourse with the ignorant as well as the wise. If one comes to thee full of knowledge, listen and heed, for wisdom is all. And so there's nothing particular bad about this either. I mean, this is generally good advice, that wisdom is power and power is wisdom. And I like that, rather than, power being violence or strength or might or something like that. Talking about this balance of power and wisdom and them being intertwined and related to each other, and that it's towards perfecting the whole. And this means, contributing to the evolution of existence. And it continues by saying, talk with the ignorant as well as the wise. Nothing wrong with that. If one comes to thee full of knowledge, listen and heed, for wisdom is all. So listen to people if they are wise, so you can learn too. Great. Good. So continue by saying, keep thou not silent when evil is spoken. Oh, keep thou not silent when evil is spoken for truth. Like the sunlight shines above all. He who oversteppeth the law shall be punished. For only through law comes the freedom of men. 'Cause thou not fear, for fear is a bondage, a fetter that binds the darkness to men. So, first of all, Thoth is saying, if you see evil, speak up. When evil is spoken for truth, like the sunlight shines above all. So, when you see evil being spoken, speak up. Adhere to the laws of freedom, of overcoming fear. And you can see fear as a kind of spiritual bondage. Okay. So, and again, I want to point out, by the way, that this is all so far, right? So far, what we have read is decent advice. It's decent advice. Previous ones that we have read have talked about Thoth freezing people with his magic ray gun and different things like that. So far, though, this is not terrible advice. It's decent. It's nothing earth-shattering, Listen to wise people, spread knowledge, stand up to evil, don't be fearful. Pretty basic stuff. It's like chicken soup for the soul. Your what do you call it? Inspirational quote of the day sort of stuff. Nothing earth-shattering so far, but let's see how it goes. And the thing that I want to point out as well, the reason why I'm kind of harsh on the Emerald Tablets of Thoth is not because of their content, but because of how it was devised. Like it was specifically devised to be deceitful, and people are taking it to be true today as though it were legitimately coming from a 36,000-year-old Atlantean immortal. If that wasn't the case, I'd have no problem with it. If people were like, hey, there's this book that, you know, this person named Maurice Doriel wrote, and there's really cool metaphors and allegories, let's see what we can learn from it, I'd have no problem with that whatsoever. Because that's what we do when we read Gnosticism. We read all kinds of Gnostic texts, and there's a lot of crazy stuff in those Gnostic texts, but we don't take them as being literally true. We'd be like, okay, these are all representative of aspects of existence. Like we understand eons to be highly evolved structures of the mind, and archons being archetypes that can get in the way of our evolution if they're not integrated, etc. Whereas when this is taken to be literally true, that's the problem I have. So I just want to point that out when people are like, well, what's the problem? There's some good stuff in here. There's some okay advice, but let's continue. I want you to be the judge. What you think about what's in here. So pretty straightforward stuff so far. Be wise, spread wisdom, listen to wise people. Don't be fearful. Let's continue. Follow thine heart during thy lifetime. Do thou more than is commanded of thee. When thou hast gained riches, follow thou thine heart, for all these are of no avail if thine heart be weary. Diminish thou not the time of following thine heart. It is abhorred of the soul. So just encouraging a heart-led life, suggesting that fulfillment comes from inner guidance rather than material wealth. If thou go among men, make for thyself love the beginning and end of the heart. If one cometh unto thee for counsel, let him speak freely, that the thing for which he hath come to thee may be done. If he hesitates to open his heart to thee, it is because thou, the judge, doeth the wrong. Repeat thou not extravagant speech, neither listen thou to it, for it is the utterance of one not in equilibrium. Speak thou not of it, so that he before thee may know wisdom. Silence is of great profit, and abundance of speech profiteth nothing. Exalt not thine heart above the children of men. Test it, lest it be brought lower than the dust. If thou be great among men, be honored for knowledge and gentleness. If thou seekest to know the nature of a friend, ask not his companion, but pass the time along with him. Debate with him, testing his heart by his words and his bearing. So, I mean, that's a lot to just be basically stressing the importance of love and open communication and understanding in human interactions. It's promoting listening and avoiding judgment. It's talking about the value of silence and humility. So, you know, I guess like the last couple chapters that we have read have had some really crazy things in them. Like I said, building the pyramids of Giza and living for 36,000 years and incarnating different versions of people and freezing people with ray magic staffs, stuff like that. This one so far is not so crazy. And so far, the advice is not that bad, but it's not, well, we're going to keep reading, right? But it's not so far super earth shattering. I wouldn't really say this is like the lost key of wisdom or something. And this is just makes you think, if a 36,000-year-old Atlantean immortal inscribed information in indestructible Atlantean language that spoke to your mind, right? You think it'd be something a little more grand than like, don't be afraid of things and listen to wise people and follow your heart, you know? I mean, clearly Doriel wrote this and that's fine. But again, my problem comes when it's being looked at through the lens of it coming from an Atlantean immortal, which it clearly isn't. I mean, if that's true, then Atlantean immortals aren't super smart because this is pretty average, right? Like this is pretty, it's not bad, but it's pretty average. Like Gnostic texts have much better information contained in them. And they're only, not nearly 2,000 years old even. Gnostic texts are usually around like 300, 200 CE. Not that age matters. It's not like, oh, the older it is, the more important it is. But if it's coming from an Atlantean immortal, you'd think that it would be a little more contentful. But let's continue. Let's see. Let's continue and see. Knowledge is regarded by the fool as ignorance, and the things that are profitable are to him hurtful. He liveth in death. It is therefore his food. The wise man lets his heart overflow, but keeps silent his mouth. O man, list to the voice of wisdom, list to the voice of light. Mysteries there are in the cosmos that unveiled fill the world with their light. Let he would be free from the bonds of darkness first divine the material from the immaterial, the fire from the earth. For know ye that as earth descends to earth, so also fire ascends unto fire and becomes one with fire. He who knows that the fire that is within himself shall ascend unto the eternal fire and dwell in it eternally. Okay, so so far, this is my favorite paragraph. I like this one. The first part, knowledge is regarded by the fool as ignorance. Yeah, true. But again, more like nothing that you wouldn't find in some aspirational quote on an Instagram story or something. Whatever. But I do like this part where it says, so mysteries there are in the cosmos that when they are unveiled will fill the world with their light. When you understand the mysteries of the cosmos, that wisdom will fill the earth with light and knowledge and understanding. Let he who would be free from the bonds of darkness, so those who want to be free from ignorance, those who want to be reaching a state of enlightenment, here's what you need to do, according to Doriel. First, divine the material from the immaterial. Understand the difference between material reality and immaterial reality. The fire from the earth. So earth is usually associated with, earth and matter, whereas fire is typically associated with the spirit. So understand the difference between the material and the immaterial. Understand the difference between matter and spirit, or the body and the spirit, earth and fire. For know ye that as earth descends to earth, so also fire ascends unto fire and becomes one with fire. So earthly things rot and become earth, whereas spirit is eternal and ascends and becomes one with fire. Fire is eternal. Fire becomes one with fire. He who knows that fire is within himself shall ascend unto the eternal fire and dwell in it eternally. So when you understand that you are an immaterial spirit, you will ascend unto the eternal fire and dwell in it eternally. Not literally, but it's sort of this idea. This goes back to, this is kind of a watered down version of what we find in the Gospel of Thomas. A lot of this actually reminds me of like a really watered down version of the Gospel of Thomas, where in the Gospel of Thomas, Jesus says that when you understand the secrets hidden in the Gospel of Thomas, you will become immortal. And so what, of course, that means is that, when you understand that you are not a physical being, but you are a child of the light, children of the light, that you are an eternal being of light, then you realize that you're immortal, because you realize that, I'm not actually a body, I'm an immortal being. Now, of course, always remember that every time I say this, I want to be clear. Take care of your avatar. Take care of your body. Your avatar can die. Your avatar can perish. Your avatar can get damaged. It's just you as an eternal mind or a soul that is eternal. And when you realize this and recognize this, you quote unquote become immortal in a certain point of view, because you gain the realization that you are eternal. And so this is kind of what he's saying. Instead of using light, he's talking about fire. And basically, when you know that fire is within you, you will ascend into the eternal flame and dwell in it eternally. So not bad. Not bad. It's okay. Setting aside my gripe with how this information is presented, that's not too bad. So let's continue here. Fire, the inner fire, is the most potent of all force, for it overcometh all things and penetrates to all things of the earth. Man supports himself only on which resists, so earth must resist man, else he existeth not. All eyes do not see with the same vision, for to one an object appears of one form and color, to a different eye of another. So also the infinite fire, changing from color to color, is never the same from day to day. Thus speak I, Thoth, of my wisdom, for a man is a fire burning bright through the night, never is quenched in the veil of darkness, never is quenched by the veil of the night. So now we're kind of talking about the nature of reality in terms of becoming instead of being, and that reality is in a constant state of transformation. Fire, the inner fire, is the most potent of all force. It overcomes all things and penetrates to all things of the earth. So spirit is everywhere. It permeates everything and is found throughout all things of the earth. Man supports himself only by that which resists, so earth must resist man, else he existeth not. So this sounds like a dialectical idea here about how it's the whole process of overcoming challenges that leads to growth and development. It's through, if there were no challenges to overcome, humanity never would have evolved in the first place, right? This has been a process of evolution so far in the forms of adaptation and survival. Of course, we want to shift to the new phase of evolution, which will be about thriving and co-creating rather than survival and competition. But anyway, more ideas there about Earth's resistance in that form. All eyes do not see with the same vision, for to one an object appears of one form and color, and to a different eye of another. We all have different perspectives. We're all different. We're all diverse. So also with the infinite fire, changing from one color to color is never the same from day to day. So, of course, this is just about an allegory for the constant transformation, of all existence, and as the soul. Because you as a soul or a fire is constantly changing and constantly transforming and constantly evolving. And the earth gives resistance and it gives opportunities for growth and wisdom. So a very Heraclitean sort of idea about how reality is. Heraclitus had the idea, a pre-Socratic philosopher, that reality was formed by an eternal changing fire, and that everything was in a constant state of transformation and movement. So, not bad. The journey of wisdom into men's hearts. I looked by my wisdom, found them not free from the bondage of strife, free from the toils, thy fire, O my brother, lest it be buried in the shadow of night. Hark ye, O man, and list to the wisdom. Where do name and form cease? Only in consciousness, invisible, in infinite force of radiance bright. The forms that ye create by brightening thy vision are truly effects that follow thy cause. Man is a star bound to a body, until in the end he is freed through his strife. Only by struggle and toiling, thy utmost, shall the star within thee bloom out in new life. He who knows the commencement of all things, free is his star from the realm of night. Again, not bad. Disregarding the way that this information is presented as coming from an Atlantean god demigod that's 36,000 years old. Discounting that part of it, setting that aside, not bad. I like it. I like star imagery a lot. And I like the idea of star imagery being related to transformation and blooming into new life. This is very similar to the Neogenian idea of interstar actualization. where we talk about the inner star and transforming and making the unconscious conscious to grow. So not too bad. I like it. It has a lot of thelemic elements as well. So Aleister Crowley said every man and woman is a star. And there are, so I'm not sure when Crowley put out the information. I'm pretty sure that they were putting out information at around the same time. It was in the early 1900s, I believe, that Crowley joined the Order of the Golden Dawn. And I'm not sure what time frame it was where Crowley left the Golden Dawn and eventually founded his own religion and founded the Ordo Templi Orientis, his own secret society, the OTO, which still exists to this day, by the way. There's lots of OTO lodges all around the world. But anyway, very interesting. A lot of thelemic elements. I like star quotes quite a lot. So basically here, this is just talking about the inner struggle and transformation. So let's break it down real quick, because I do like this. Man is a star bound to a body. Very close to the, Aleister Crowley's quote, every man and every woman is a star. So man is a star bound to a body until in the end he is freed through his strife. So this is the idea of, like in our system of inner star actualization, we are the higher self. We are the true self. We are an eternal soul. We are an eternal being of energy, an eternal being of frequency, what we call a zeta. And we are interfaced with this avatar. We interface with this avatar. We interface with this body. And so we are a star bound to a body, not a literal star bound to the body, but a soul, a being of light, a being of frequency that is interfacing with an avatar. So through a frequency function interacting with a space-time function, mathematically speaking. So I like that. Only by struggle and toiling thy utmost shall the star within thee bloom out in new life. And yeah, I mean, this is very similar to in the Neogenian system. And when I say ad astra or perispera ad astra, through struggle to the stars. A lot of struggling, a lot of hardship will seem very difficult, but it's ultimately through our struggle that we will improve ourselves, improve our lives, improve the world, and reach the stars, reach our highest potential as individuals and as a collective. He who knows the commencement of all things, free is his star from the realm of night. So when you know the commencement of all things, when you know how everything began, when you know the truth about reality, your star is free from the realm of night, meaning you gain consciousness, you gain understanding. You're no longer in the darkness of the unconscious or ignorance, but you gain knowledge, you gain understanding. So not bad. I like this. It just rubs me the wrong way where it comes from. But if you were to have put this in front of me and said, here, what do you think of this? Without telling me where it came from, I'd be like, that's pretty neat. And it's not too bad. I like it. It's pretty good. I like it. It's pretty good. So not bad so far. Let's see. Remember, O man, that all which exists is only a form of that which exists not. Everything that has being is passed into yet another being, and that, oh, this is interesting. So now we're getting more Heraclitean ideas of being and becoming, okay? Everything that has being is passing into yet another being, and thou thyself are not an exception. Consider the law, for all is law. Seek not that which is not of the law, for such exists only in the illusions of the senses. Wisdom cometh to all her children, even as they cometh unto wisdom. All through the ages, the light has been hidden. Awake, O man, and be wise. Okay, so all that exists is only a form of that which does not exist. Everything that has being is being passed into yet another being, and thou thyself are no exception. Consider the law for all is law. Okay, so this is the idea of transformation. This is the idea of that everything is in a state of constant becoming. And a way to understand this is that, so what exactly does it say? Everything that has being is passing into yet other being, and thou thyself are not an exception. So everything is in a state of constant transformation. So a good way to think about it is kind of like the concept of time. You can never pin down the now. As soon as you say now, that moment has already passed. So the current moment we're in is always moving out of the past and into the future in a certain sense. We are always, all that exists really is the eternal now, right? It's not like the past exists or the future exists. All that exists is the now in actuality. Potentiality and abstractly, that's a different case. But as far as actualized existence goes, all that exists is the now, but you can never pin it down. It's in constant motion. So this is just the idea that reality is in constant motion. It's in constant transformation. Everything is passing into another thing. And so are you. We're all transforming. We're all growing. Perpetual cycles of transformation. And then says that basically everything is law. And everything that is not law is just the illusion of the senses. So this is the idea that reality follows a structured pattern. So in the Neogenian system, this is where we understand this to be a mathematical reality, which is an expression of reason. So this is a reality that follows rational laws, rational rules, and mathematical laws and mathematical rules. And these mathematical laws and rational rules govern everything, and they cannot be broken. They are the eternal, unchanging laws of existence. That's the only thing that doesn't change about existence is the laws that underpin existence, the immutable, eternal laws that form the ground of all reality. So that's basically what he's getting at here when he says that everything is law. He's not talking about literally like, oh, you have to obey these commandments in laws as we conceive of them, but more in terms of like physical laws. Not literally physical laws. These are immaterial laws, but he's alluding to things that are more like the laws of physics, but the laws of metaphysics, where everything is governed by a rational order, a rational structure. Deep in the mysteries of life, I have traveled, seeking and searching for that which is hidden. List ye, O man, and be wise. Far neath the earth's crust, in the halls of Amenti, mysteries I saw that are hidden from men. Oft have I journeyed the deep hidden passage, looked on the light that is life among men. So now, okay, so Thoth is talking about his journey into the center of the earth, far beneath the earth's crust, into the halls of Amenti. So the question is here, because this wasn't written by Thoth, it was written by Doriel. So the question is, was Doriel writing this to be taken? Doriel was most likely, right? Because he seems very influenced by Masonry and different secret societies and Masonry and just societies in general. What you do is you write a story and then be like, oh, well, if you're smart enough to figure it out, you'll see that it really means something else. So, my bet is that Doriel's mindset was that, oh, okay, I'm going to say that there's this secret place called the Halls of Amenti that's deep beneath the earth's crust, and I'm going to have Thoth travel there and get his wisdom from there. But this could also metaphorically represent, he's probably thinking and planning as he writes this, that it can represent an immaterial spiritual domain. Accessing the Halls of Amenti could be interpreted, rather than literally traveling beneath the earth's crust, as traveling into a spiritual domain or domain of the mind. But it all depends on what Doriel was trying to do here. But very likely, I mean, Doriel didn't believe that to be literally true. He's writing this. So the question is did he want his followers to literally believe this to be true, or did he want them to believe, find like a hidden meaning behind it? Most likely what his, and this is all speculation, but most likely what his plan was would be to put this out and have these teachings out there. And then certain members would believe them as being literally true. And then those who started to show signs of higher consciousness or wisdom or enlightenment would perhaps get the special true teachings where they discussed the metaphorical relationships behind these allegories. I'm not a fan of this method of teaching things. This is different secret societies and occult traditions teach in this way. And this is how you get crazy religions. This is how you get crazy religions, because people are going to believe that this stuff is true. This is a failed religion. And you can imagine if this religion caught on. Imagine if this religion caught on, and imagine, 200 years from now you have nations going to war with each other because now one nation is founded on Thothianism, and Thoth the Atlantean is their god, who's more powerful than Jesus and so must conquer the heretic Christians or something. I don't know. It's when you take these things start to be taken literally because they're not clearly defined as being allegorical. That's the problem. That's the issue. And like I have said, in the past, I get it. In the past, if one needed to do this to not be persecuted, that's fine. And if in the past one was like, okay, well, this is the only way people could understand this sort of thing. Okay, maybe. But in today's day and age, there's no reason for that anymore. Now we're at a time where we need to be taking this seriously and understanding things for what they are. We need to be understanding the metaphysical domain with as much rigor, reason, and precision as science understands the physical domain, which means we need to understand the mathematics of reality. We need to understand the laws of reality. We need to understand how the immaterial domain interacts with the material domain, how frequency interacts with space-time. We need to understand all the details of existence, how it all is interconnected in a holistic system, how light transforms into matter. We need to understand all of this in a very rigorous way, rather than talking in allegories about diving into the Earth's crust and reaching the Halls of Amenti and people with staffs that can freeze people, because no one's going to take the metaphysical seriously if it's littered with this stuff, and people are going to start having crazy delusions, and it's just going to screw a lot of people up. It's just it's not good. We're trying to get away from religious thinking, and this type of thing just perpetuates religious thinking. So there 'neath the flowers of life ever living, searched I the hearts and the secrets of men, found I that man is but living in darkness. Light of the great fire is hidden within. So this is talking about, despite external appearances, humans have a divine spark. And this divine spark is within them, and it's eternal, even though it might be obscured by the ignorance or the illusion of the material world. Before the lords of hidden Amenti learned I the wisdom I give unto men. So he learned these things from the lords of hidden Amenti. So apparently Thoth got this from even more powerful beings from the secret realm of Amenti. And again, this hasn't been so bad so far, right? There's stuff I like. I like the star thing a lot. I thought the star thing was pretty cool. But if this is knowledge coming from an immortal Atlantean that got even more knowledge from super secret beings in the halls of Amenti, you think the information in here would be a little more earth-shattering. I mean, it's not bad. It's interesting info. But it's you'd think it'd be a little more, again, this is like chicken soup for the soul type of stuff. Or the star thing. No, I thought the star thing was very, very cool. I mean, I think the Gospel of Thomas puts these ideas in a much better way, but still, you get what I'm saying. There's not, could you maybe include the schematics of how to build a freezing ray gun? And like, oh, well, no, because that would start wars and we don't want to have weapons. Okay, fine. Then could you put schematics for a healing device, a device that could heal people? Like, could you put something in here that's not like, oh, listen to wise people and don't fear things, and struggle helps you grow? I mean, that's all true. That's stuff we talk about. But if it's not, if it's, you'd think there'd be something more substantial here. And that's what grinds my gears a little bit. Again, if people didn't take this to be literally true, I'd be fine. I'd be fine with it. But I don't like the proliferation of BS. Thoth even says, if you find evil parading as truth, call it out. Well, I'm calling it out here. I wouldn't be so harsh on it if it wasn't presented in the way that it was, because it's not terrible information. But let's continue. Let's see, because, okay, Thoth learned all this from the lords of hidden Amenti. He learned this wisdom to give unto men. Masters are they of the great secret wisdom. This sounds very Masonic, by the way. Brought from the future of infinity's end. Okay. 7 are they. 7 are they, the lords of Amenti. Overlords they of the children of morning, sons of the cycles, masters of wisdom. Formed are not they as the children of men. 3, 4, 5, and 6, 7, 8, 9 are the titles of the masters of men. Far from the future, formless yet forming, came they as teachers for the children of men. Live they forever, yet not of the living, bound not to life, and yet free from death. Rule they forever with infinite wisdom, bound yet not bound to the dark halls of death. Life they have in them, yet life that is not life. Free from all are the lords of the all. So this whole thing is just talking about the different lords of Amenti, who are ancient masters of wisdom, and they embody eternal truths, and they're the guide for humanity's spiritual evolution. This could be possibly intended to be metaphorical for archetypes, and that's possible as being archetypal aspects of existence that help guide and evolve. That's a possible interpretation for that. Forth from them came forth the logos, instruments they of the power over all. Vast is their countenance, yet hidden in smallness, formed by a forming, known yet unknown. So the logos is usually the idea of divine order or reason. And so this is more talking about the underlying structure of reality. Logos comes from the Greek word for word. So logos means word, but logos has also been used very often to mean reason. So logos means word. It's been used to mean reason. And it's looked at, and you see this a lot in Masonry as well, where there's always like the secret, the lost word of the master. Words are usually interpreted as being a form of structure, because words and language are structures, similar to how reason is a structure. So they all kind of go hand in hand. Basically, it's just saying reality has a structure to it. There's a divine order. There's a structure that pervades reality. Okay. So 3 holds the key of all hidden magic. Creator he of the halls of the dead, sending forth power, shrouding with darkness, binding the souls of the children of men, sending the darkness, binding the soul force, director of negative to the children of men. 4 is he who looses the power. Lord he of life of the children of men. Light is his body, flame is his countenance, freer of souls to the children of men. So this is again talking about the different numbers that were associated with, let's see what these numbers were associated with. 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, 8, and 9 are the titles of the masters of men. So the lords of Amenti were referred to as the masters of men. And so these are the titles. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 are the titles of the lords of Amenti. So these numbers. And it sounds very much like archetypes here. It sounds like they're describing archetypes. How one of the lords, whose title is 3, sends forth power, shrouding with darkness, binding the souls of the children of men, sending the darkness, binding the soul, director of negative to the children of men. So this sounds like very archonic, in Gnosticism, very archonic type of force. 4 is he who looses the power. Lord, he is of life to the children of men. Light is his body, flame is his countenance, freer of souls to the children of men. So this sounds like a Sophia type entity. This sounds like an eon rather than an archon, archetypally speaking. 5 is the master, the Lord of all magic, key to the word, very Masonic, key to the word being capitalized, that resounds among men. 6 is the Lord of light, the hidden pathway, path of the souls of the children of men. 7 is he who is Lord of the vastness, master of space and the key of the times. 8 is he who orders the progress, weighs and balances the journey of men. 9 is the Father, vast he of countenance, forming and changing from out of the formless. So again, this is the idea of Doriel telling this story about Thoth and these different lords of Amenti who have different titles. He titles them with numbers, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And his followers, or those who read this, would most likely take this as literally being true, which probably a lot of people do. I don't really follow the spiritual New Age community. I know this, a lot of spiritual New Agers are really into the Emerald Tablets of Thoth right now, but I would imagine they probably take them as being literally true. This isn't literally true. There aren't, 7 lords of Amenti who are the masters. This is talking about archetypes, forces of reality, forces of existence, processes that occur. One who binds the soul in darkness and ignorance is very similar to the archonic forces of the unconscious that keep us from realizing our true nature and our true divinity and our true power. This other one is very similar to the Eon of Wisdom, Sophia, who brings light to humanity, which represents humanity looking inwards and understanding their truth selves. And another one represents the path to enlightenment, one who is the master of space and time, one who is weighs and balances the journey of men and their progress. So it's just different ordering functions. So again, to me, this seems like a very watered down version of Gnosticism, where in Gnosticism you would have it would talk about all these different forces, all these different eons. We talked about this in the last video. There's the Eon of Wisdom, the Eon of grace, the Eon of purposeful thinking, the Eon of memory, even memory is one of them. It's all about these different forces of reality, different forces of the mind being presented in a story form. The path to enlightenment. So it says, meditate on the symbols I give thee. Keys are they, though hidden from men. And this is probably what this means when he says, meditate on the symbols I give thee. Keys are they, though hidden from men. He's probably hinting that there's a deeper truth here. He's probably hinting, in my opinion, he's hinting by saying, meditate on what I'm like, think about, he's saying, think about what I'm telling you. They are keys, but they are hidden. So in my opinion, what he's saying here is these are symbols. He literally says, they are symbols I give you. And if you think about them deeply, you'll realize that they are keys, but they're hidden. And the reason why they're hidden is because they're told in the story form. Most people will just take the story to be true. Like, oh yeah, there's 7 lords of Amenti and they do all these things and they're super magical and they're beneath the earth's crust in the great magical hall or whatever. And in my opinion, Doriel here is hinting like, hey, no, look deeper. Meditate on the symbols. They're keys, but they're hidden. Reach ever upwards, O soul of the morning. Turn thy thoughts upward to light and to life. Find in the keys of the numbers I bring thee, light on the pathway, from life unto life. Seek ye with wisdom. Turn thy thoughts inward. Close not thy mind to the flower of life. Place in thy body a thought-formed picture. Think of the numbers that lead thee to life. Clear is the pathway to he who has wisdom. Open the door to the kingdom of light. Pour thy flame as a son of the morning. Shout out the darkness and live in the day. So, son of the morning, very similar to like morning star references and that archetype of enlightenment, by sticking, son of the morning there, as well as kingdom of light. Very, symbols representative of Jesus Christ being a morning star, also the archetype of Lucifer being a morning star. So, and then the kingdom of light as being our eternal kingdom, the true reality associated with existence in Gnosticism represented as the pleroma. A lot of common themes here. Take thee, O man, as part of thy being, the seven who are but are not as they seem. Oh, interesting. See, I think that Doriel is really calling this out here, right? He's saying, take thee, O man, as part of thy being, the seven who are but are not as they seem. He's saying, hey, listen and understand the seven that I just told you about. Understand them. The seven who are, but not as they seem. They aren't what they seem, is what he's saying. And before he even said, so combining these two things that he said, meditate on these symbols, they're keys, but they're hidden. Think about them. Think about these seven things who are, but they're not as they seem. So I think he's, hint, hint, nudge, nudge, wink, wink. Think beyond the story here and understand the underlying message and the underlying essence. Opened, O man, have I my wisdom. Follow in the pathway I have led. Master of wisdom, son of the morning light, and life to the children of men. So another association with being son of the morning and light. A lot of, Jesus Christ, Lucifer type archetypal references here, which is just archetypes for liberation, enlightenment, and understanding, which is a fantastic archetype, great archetype, very powerful archetype. It's one that we all embody, by the way, those of us who are trying to help humanity raise their consciousness. We embody that archetype as well. We are the liberators. We are the, second coming of Christ. And this isn't said in an egotistical way. We want everyone to understand this information. We want everyone to be there. We want everyone to realize what they are, where they are, and why they're here. We want everyone to have access to their understanding their true selves and what reality is. But anyway, so this one was not too bad. This was interesting. I have a very big problem with the fact that this is very popular in the New Age community right now as being literally true. Like, there are people spouting that this is true, and you do 5 minutes of research and you find that there's zero evidence for it, and it comes from a guy who made a lot of absolutely insane claims. So that aspect I don't like. As far as the content goes, it's not bad. It's not earth-shattering. It's very simple. After reading Gnostic texts and philosophy, it's very simple. It's nothing earth-shattering. It's nothing mind-blowing. It's not particularly detailed. It doesn't have too much content, but it's not bad. And I like the star allegory very much. I thought that was actually pretty cool. I like that. So removed from the culture surrounding it, the atmosphere surrounding this, just as the content itself, if it is understood to be allegorical and not literal, it's not bad. It's okay. It's not bad. Not bad. Not bad. So it was less crazy for sure than the last two. Now, I peeked ahead, and the next one, I believe, starts getting a little more crazy again. It starts talking about Thoth's journeys through space and time and in different bodies and things like that. So my question to you is, do you want to continue my pain? Do you want to continue my misery? Do you want to see me continue to read the Emerald Tablets of Thoth? Let me know. Tell me in the comments. I'm curious. Please like and subscribe. I really appreciate it. Helps get information out there. And if you enjoy my work, support over on Patreon. Helps out a lot. It's how I'm able to create more content. And you'll get access to all of our members only videos. You can also support by hitting the join button on YouTube right below this video. And remember, this isn't church, so don't feel obligated to support monetarily. You don't have to. There are plenty of free ways you can support, but I do appreciate it very much. It helps out a lot. So big shout out to everyone who does support, especially Renaissance Fairy, Cassidy, Angela, the Halloween Mom, DB, Fashida, Enki, Nusalina, Masam, Eric, Christopher Smith, and the Eternal Empire, and everyone else. Thank you very much.